What up, everybody? It's John here on the podcast that still hasn't been named. Please help me. Please suggest a comment. Suggest your suggestion in the comments below. That would be highly appreciated. But today, guys, we're talking about like mental health. This is kind of like an area that I myself have kind of slowly like been diving into, feeling out, and like learning more about, and how that like influences other things. So, this isn't like my area of expertise, admittedly. I'm not a mental health professional, so I will start this presentation off by saying that I've learned a lot about mental health. I'm working on my own mental health, as we all should throughout like our lives. Yes, like no one is a paragon or a completed project, but what we often overlook is how your mental health and the things that affect it can then create barriers or obstacles to the results you're trying to see with regards to like fitness and your workouts and things of that nature. So that's where I think this is important. It comes into play and why I think it should be reviewed by me and in this sense. All right, guys, so a little bit about me. John Brown, owner of Empirical Fitness. If you've seen my podcast before, you kind of know all this already, but just know that I'm the founder of the Facebook group Legion of Nerds that lifts weights. If you are a nerd yourself, if you enjoy lifting weights, and if you just have questions from that you want answered by like a health and fitness professional, like hop on in the group. You will experience like some communication from me as far as like I like to post in the group about things that I've learned, sometimes to have some facilitate some discussion. And I'll go live like once a week to answer like questions that people have that are with regards to like health and fitness and stuff like that. Like this week coming up, we're talking about how what social factors can influence and or adversely impact like your workout, weightlifting, and or results. And this one's actually about because I found a study that shows what happens to your sex hormones for men once in a long-standing or long-term relationship. It's kind of cool. But yeah, all right, guys, moving on. What is mental health? So this definition that I found is a state of well-being in which individuals can cope with the stresses of daily life, realize their abilities, work productively, and contribute to the community, right? So, ooh, that's loud, isn't it? Hopefully you guys don't hear that. Mental health is not a fixed state. This definition makes it seem like something's like stagnant or that it won't shift or move. Mental health is a continuum and it fluctuates. Like if you're going if this way's progress, you're gonna go up, down over the course of like your progression, right? It's not all gonna be like great, go swimmingly, so on and so forth. There are factors that will influence your mental health, whether it be like your cultural norms, societal norms, your genetics, your work life experiences, your regular things you've got going on will all impact or interplay with your mental health to where it's at today and how you kind of progress it and move it going forward. Um, Once again, it's a continuum, right? There will be days where you make progress. There will be days where you feel like you've kind of thrown everything out the window and realize that you need help. And that's okay. That's why mental health, just like fitness, is all about like a journey. Um, yeah. So these are the five components about mental health. And what I'll be going over today is emotional, psychological, behavioral, and social. I will not be touching on spiritual very much just because that's one aspect of mental health that I myself have yet to dive into that I'm still working on. I do have somewhat of a spiritual practice. It's more of me kind of like dipping my toes in like meditation and experiencing that and feeling that out. But I still haven't like done my due diligence there, so I don't want to talk to you about a lot of the other about a lot about spirituality in the sense right now. But as far as emotional, psychological, behavioral, and social things, like those are things that I've had to like learn and read about as far as being like a coach and a strength conditioning coach. And those are also things that I know can interplay with like your results as like when it comes to getting results in the gym, your athletic performance, so on and so forth. So rarely, at least in my experience, this could be totally different based off your life experiences and your mental health. Rarely has someone's spirituality crisis prevented them or been so stress inducing that they haven't been able to get results. So that's not one that I often have to work on and not one I've worked on myself. So that's one that I'm not going to touch on. But the rest of the four, let's talk about those. So emotional well-being. What I want you guys to think about is Um, can you manage your emotions? And what I mean by that is, yeah, we have a regulated and dysregulated state, right? Um, what I mean by regulated and dysregulated, your regulated state is right now. I had a long day at work, but like I'm good. No one has said something crazy to me. No one has pissed me off. No one has made me sad. No one has called me out my name. Like it's a pretty solid day. And so therefore, like I'm regulated. If you're triggered or upset, like can you effectively manage your emotions at that time, or do you lash out? Do you give into those feelings and those things? Do you know your attachment style? So as far as your attachment styles are concerned, you have I'm gonna go. I've learned a different. There's a bunch of different ways to describe them, but I'll go the four quadrant style. So normally, and that's gonna look opposite for you. Like if you look at like the diagrams, like here it's like a square, right? Down in the left-hand corner, you have secure. Uh, Up this way, I think you have avoidance. Up this way, you have anxious, and over here you have like anxious, avoidant, or dysregulated attachment style. You have both factors. Um, Thankfully, I've worked really hard on my attachment style. I'm mainly like green slash secure. Now, that doesn't mean I stay there all the time. Like there are people and certain things that they do that can really dysregulate me and pull me out of my green zone and out of my security, but it's a lot harder to do nowadays, thankfully. But yes, knowing your attachment style is important because it lets you know you then are aware of some of your own faults and tendencies, and you kind of change the story that goes on in your head, what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, and how you view it. It becomes very helpful to know your attachment style, and it helps you better connect with other people. So as a coach, um, you're usually not going to stay with me, stick around, or you want to be around me if I can't connect with you. So there has to be some form of like connection, whether beyond me and my ability just to help you. Most people who work with me, I give the tools to see success, right? Like I was like, hey, we use linear progression and progressive overload to help you get results. Your calories king, macronutrients, time and quality. These are the principles that I use. Like I give these people, my people, like all this information, and they know how to do that. So they're equipped with all the tools. They use me as a form of accountability, and they stick around because they like me. So accountability plus you like me, right? That's usually why most people stick around as far as like coaches and trainers are concerned. So knowing your attachment style, knowing if and how to spot if someone's dysregulated, and suggestions about how people regulate themselves, like those things come into play for coaching, but they also come into play more so for connection. And your ability to connect with other people is like healthy and does matter. Another thing is like how do people feel around you? Like what is like their first impression? Like do people think you're standoffish? Are you often accepted? So on and so forth. These are things you can reflect on as far as your emotional well-being. But the couple things that should be known is like in your day-to-day life, you should feel safe. You should feel loved, valued, and supported by the people in your life. You should, um, once again, be able to manage your emotions effectively. Psychological well-being. Questions that you want to ask yourself or reflect on to see if this is something you need to work on. Do you have a clear sense of self? Do you know what your purpose is and how easily can outside factors disrupt you? For example, clear sense of self. Like I know who I am. I know what I want to do. I know what my goals are. Who I am, obviously, John. What I want to do. I want to create like a long-standing like fitness empire by helping those around me. I want everyone to have the principles, tools, and skills to be able to help themselves and then share those with others and so on and so forth. Like my goal this year is to help over 100 people is my goal. Uh, and I want to do that by imbuing them with the power and tools of health, fitness, connection, so on and so forth. So that is like currently like my purpose. I'm big on that. Ooh, and to compete at like one of the highest levels athletically. I think I would enjoy that. But that's like a slightly separate purpose, but also related because strength conditioning in the same pool. Yeah. How easily can outside factors trouble you? So like you have some people who you get a flat tire and it's like, well, shit, my day's screwed, everything's awry. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna be able to piece it together. Some people get that same flat tire and go, all right, we can get the jack out, change the tire, get back to it, right? high levels of psychological well-being means like very few things can disrupt you. So if you're undisruptible, like you've got some pretty solid psychological well-being, I'm proud of you. Keep up this good work. If you are easily disrupted, not good. This might be an area that you need to work on. Social well-being. So this one used to be hard for me. Admittedly, is it difficult for you to connect with others? So that used to be something that used to be pretty hard for me, which is like shocking for some people because they say like I'm very like open, friendly, and yada yada yada. But that's like the tool that has been like harnessed and practiced and honed. Like I didn't used to have that very much. Can you maintain like healthy relationships? I'm gonna call my sister out on this because my sister is what I call a head ass, and essentially like run, forgive me, but like maintaining healthy relationships isn't like her strong suit. She doesn't know, or at least from the outside perspective looking in, I'm not her therapist. She often does not like maintain healthy relationships like in person. Online, she's got a bunch of friends online. Like she plays Call of Duty, and I think she's pretty good as far as I'm concerned. And she's got a lot of friends online. But when it comes to maintain those friendships in person, like how to do that, the tools, the skills, it looks like she's kind of lacking in that. And I would like to help her out with that one day. We'll see. Do your actions contribute to society? So kind of like I talked about my life, my purpose in life, and my self purpose. Like I want to do things that implement my people and those around me. Like, do you want to do that? And that doesn't have to be the same thing for everybody. Like your actions contributing to society could just be like contributing to the people who are close to you, nearest to you that you interact with, right? Like it doesn't have to be this overarching like heal the world kind of thing. You don't have to have dreams of grandeur. Behavioral well-being. What are your healthy habits? Um, do you have healthy routines and do you take care of yourself? And so what I mean by that, like healthy habits would be like, are you eating enough? Are you sleeping enough? Are you overweight? Do you exercise? Do you get good sleep? Like, are you prioritizing things that benefit you as a person? So, for example, I've got a close friend, and she will not prioritize her own sleep. And because she has like so much going on, like up here, and so many things that she wants to work on. She's like, I gotta work on this, I gotta work on that, and I have this to do, I have that to do, I gotta make this money to do this, I gotta do this, I have these goals and this and that. And all of it is amazing. But like, as far as like your behavioral well-being, something that like you want to have like a set routine, like in my humble suggestion was, hey, you need at least 6 hours of sleep. And then they go, yeah, but how do I get the other stuff done that I want to get done? The answer to that is you get more efficient with the time that you do have throughout the day. You don't necessarily need more time in the day. You have a limited amount of time in the day. Cool. You spend, she's like, well, look, what if I need, what if it takes me X amount of time to do X task? I was like, okay, then you didn't finish a task, right? No, but you touched it, right? Yes. And then you keep touching the task a little bit over a little bit. You get better, you get better, you get better, you get better. And eventually, the goal would be that you become more efficient over time to get more of it done, more of that task done within a given time slot. But once again, behavioral well-being, what are your habits? What are your routines? Are they healthy and are they helping you? Spiritual well-beings. This one essentially like, do you have a spiritual practice? Is there something that you do that cultivates your inner peace? And once again, I'm not going to touch too deeply into this one, but these are just like questions you can consider. Do you have one? I'm not going to make any recommendations to one because there's like so many. There's so many religions, so many cultures, so many spiritualities and things you can do that I wouldn't even know where to start as far as your recommendations for that. Because once again, for me, that your spirituality won't impact your results as far as like in the gym and for your athletic performance. So not much to touch there. But this is something that you can think about yourself if you're trying to improve, if you're wanting to improve, so on and so forth. Is there something that you can do that cultivates your inner peace? For me, cultivate my inner peace. I do it two ways. I spend time with people who give me Zen, and I also there's Zen. Spend time with people who give me Zen, and I play video games. And now, granted, I'm into like Soulsborne video games right now, and so like there's not a lot of like inner peace. Probably a lot of like yelling and screaming, if we're being honest. But hey, I am who I am, and I do what I do. And after playing video games and feeling my sense of hatred there, like I usually feel better like about everything outside of video games. So yeah, spiritual well-being. Don't try to improve everything too quickly. So lasting change takes time. I believe someone once said that what is done quickly can be quickly undone, or something along the lines of that. Essentially, like we just went over the five components of your mental health and working on all of them at the same time, very hard. Hopefully, with the reflective questions that I've asked you thus far, you might feel that something stood out, that maybe one of the questions was more difficult to answer than the others. And so that would be your area of start. But if you try to work on everything all at once, it's way too hard. You're setting yourself up for failure. And then I don't want you to crash and burn, essentially, if you're listening to this. So one thing at a time, please. Um, and as you do work on one thing at a time, you'll be able to create lasting change that'll stick with you and help you get these results, get these gains, and or make these connections and improve your mental health. So where do you go from here? I'll probably make a series out of this, not every, and I'll probably touch on like different components of mental health throughout this. Um, just because I think that like plays like a really good important into your being like a healthy human being. Obviously like being active, the science and sports specific and fitness stuff, like that's my jam. And this I can only recommend stuff like this. I'm not a mental health provider or coordinator, but like I can share information and studies that I've picked up and learned and tools that I've learned from people who are way smarter than me, who have much more knowledge than me that could potentially help you based off where you're at. So we're probably going to explore these mental health components together to a degree and to a bit. Now they might come interspersed. I may like refer back to this video at some point in time as far as like my mental health series, but then I'm not saying my next video will be about mental health, but like expect to see some in the future or just know that you may see some coming and don't be surprised by the fact that you see some mental health videos coming. Like I said, I believe mental health is still a part of being a healthy human, so that's why I'm touching on it. Why explore mental health? Because once again, mental health will affect your fitness, and your fitness will affect your mental health. I was hanging out with a lady the other day, and she had told me she was like, "I'm just having like a rough day. I'm depressed." I was like, "Hey, like I'm about to go work out." She was like, "I would love to watch you go pick up heavies now." She kind of just watched me work out. I was like, "Hey, you want to do some Bulgarian split squats?" Which is a trap. Never answer that. Uh, because once again, it's Bulgarian split squats. But she didn't know what they were, so she said yes, and she agreed. Haha. So she did some Bulgarian split squats. She got mad at me for asking her slash making her do Bulgarian split squats, but then overall she felt better at the end of the day, which is important. So her mental health was down, fitness improved it. And now granted, uh sometimes like your physical health is down and like working your mental health can then like once your head is clear, you can then perform like physically, right? So that's the reason why, once again, that I'm exploring mental health because they are very much connected and can interplay with each other. Summary, mental health impacts your fitness and your fitness impacts your mental health. So we need to make sure to work on both. There are five components to be improved. We'll probably only talk about improving the four. If and when or if I make some changes to my spirituality, I will update you guys and possibly make a um a presentation and or podcast episode like dedicated to that. So progress often takes time and professional help. I really want to emphasize this. I myself have made huge strides with my mental health, but I've read like two to three books and have had like two separate therapists have helped me like along the way that I probably would have been lost, completely lost without. Like I said, I've done a lot of work to get myself into like a secure green zone space, but previously I was deeply avoidant with regard to like my emotions, my feelings, and how I handled certain things. So like progress, it took time. Been seeing my new therapist for about a month, and before that, I saw like my therapist for like a year. So, and as far as like my fitness is concerned, I've had multiple coaches. I'm about to hire on a new rowing coach to help with my rowing programming. I'm about to a rowing coach for my rowing programming. I've had a breathing coach, a professional development coach, a business coach. I've had an Olympic lifting coach and a personal trainer at the same time because they had different skill sets, right? So like professional help goes a long way as far as like getting to your destination faster. You can totally do it by yourself. Just don't expect the journey to take a lot longer, and that's okay. Our contact, guys. So this is Sean at empiricalfitnessgym.com. I love to interview people on this podcast, especially when it comes to discussions about mental health and connection. If you're someone who wants to be interviewed for one of my podcast episodes, like shoot me an email. I'd love to talk to you about that. Follow me on social media if you'd be so kind. At quadfather_77 is like my social handle for almost everything. And of course, Facebook group, Legion of Nerds Who Lift Weights. If you're a nerd and you lift some weights, come see us. Hey guys, that is the end of my talk today. Thanks for joining.